and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Jimmy Dore was right on the sellout progressive Democrats. Now what comes next? Because you were right about Bernie Sanders being a cuck not once but twice. Right. The Congressional Progressive Caucus failing all over again. About corporate media, TYT carrying water for the Democrats, and then them trying to mimic you. Right. You got everyone else who's been calling you a grifter, calling you right wing. Now they have no leg to stand on. The Democrat Roe v. Wade died under the Democrats.
That's right.
Democrats are again allowing an inflation to happen. Democrats have a majority in the House and Senate. They could codify Roe v. Wade. They could have done it when Carter was president, Obama, Bill Clinton, all that. They could have done all of this, and you've been calling them out. So you were right on the sellout progressives. What comes next?
Well, what comes next is you stop donating and you stop voting for Democrats and Republicans, and you start funneling that energy into third parties. Electorally, that's what you do. If that's the question, what do you do electorally? You stop voting and donating to Democrats and Republicans, and you start putting that money into third parties. If you're a Republican, put that money into the Libertarian Party. If you're a Democrat, put that money and votes into a Green Party or a People's Party or whatever. You can't keep giving your votes and money to the same corrupt people. I mean, you see what the effect of that is. You see what the effect of lesser of two evil voting is. What is the effect of lesser of two evil? What has it gotten us? It got us Donald Trump. It got us demented Joe Biden. It got us 80% of workers living paycheck to paycheck. It got half the country poor or low income. It got 50% of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency. It's got people going bankrupt left and right when they get sick. 50% of wage earners earn less than $30,000 a year. This is what that kind of shit has gotten us. So anybody who prescribes keep doing that and you'll be a good person is a fucking moron on purpose.
So then looking at how the Democrats, especially people like AOC, telling everyone, you got to vote for more of us because then things can get done. Yeah. You got to vote for more of us.
We just did that.
Well, how many times are they going to be running with that message until people do
forever?
Wake up?
What else message do they have, kid? They have nothing else to say. They can't look at our record. Donnie Deutsch said it on Morning Joe the other day. He goes, the Democrats can't run on the economy because it's horrible. So they got to scare the hell out of everybody. And that's all they have. Scare. If you don't vote for me, you're going to lose your rights. If you don't vote for me, something worse is going to happen. If you don't vote for me, which is getting punched with the left fist, you're going to get punched with the right fist. And so they try to make the left fist look nice. That's all they have left. Censorship, demonization of half the country. You know, half the country is white supremacists. That's what they say now. Half the country. Half. Every other person you meet, kid, is a white supremacist. If you listen to Democratic politicians and the corporate media, every other person, including black people. Larry Elders ran for governor in California, and they called him a white supremacist. That was the headline in the LA Times. White supremacist. A black guy. And isn't it just like the black guys to be so sneaky, to hide their white supremacy behind their black skin? You never see it coming. And then there's that other white supremacist on the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas, who they hate that white supremacist Clarence Thomas because of what he did and it's funny, you see people like Rosie O'Donnell go on Twitter, Clarence Thomas should be impeached and his wife should be in jail. Isn't that what they said Trump was a horrible person for because he demonized his political opponents and said, lock her up? You're not supposed to say lock her up. That's what dictators do. That's what every shitty Democrat has been doing nonstop. Hey, let's lock up Clarence Thomas's wife. That's exactly what so instead of being angry at the people who actually gave Clarence Thomas the power to overturn Roe v. Wade, they get mad at that. The symptom. The problem is Joe Biden made sure Clarence Thomas was on that fucking Supreme Court. That's your problem.
And also his statements where he was yelling and berating down to Anita Hill at the time.
Yes.
Then there's the same Joe Biden who was against busing and desegregation. Same Joe Biden who voted for the credit card corporations to make student debt what it is. Same Joe Biden who's proud of the crime bill. And just to add a little salt in the wound, Bill Clinton somewhat apologized for his involvement for that crime bill. The same Joe Biden who voted for the war in Iraq. But yet he's Bernie Sanders' really good friend. Yes. Bernie Sanders' good friend. My good friend Joe Biden. My good friend Joe Biden.
I'll tell you who's not my good friend, Bernie Sanders. And I'll tell you who's not your good friend, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is friends with oligarchs in the establishment, and he couldn't give a fucking shit about you. He might care a little, but not enough to actually do anything.
So why do you think he cucked out?
I think he's a coward. He told Chris Hedges and Shama Sawant in 2015 when they begged him to run third party instead of running Democrat. He said, "No, I don't want to end up like Ralph Nader." So what is that? No, I'm a fucking coward. Even though I'm one of the most 50 powerful people in the entire planet as a senator, I'm still scared to go up against the Democratic machine. And that's what Bernie Sanders is, a fucking coward. There's no other word for it.
Do you think he was ever sincere in anything that he did in 2016?
I think he's sincere that if he could wave a magic wand and give everybody health care and a living wage and student debt relief, he would do it. But if you have to fight and actually stick your chin out and risk, he's not going to fucking do it. He threw everybody who ever supported him under the bus as soon as something happened to him. He shit on Cenk Uygur. Cenk Uygur was his biggest supporter. He fucking threw Cenk Uygur under the bus immediately. I don't even want Cenk Uygur's endorsement. I'm disavowing his endorsement. That's what a piece of fucking shit Bernie is. Cenk Uygur used to give speeches at his rallies in 2016. In 2020, I can't even take his endorsement. Wow. That's how bad. That's what a fucking slide Bernie Sanders did. He did the same thing to Matt Orfalea. Matt Orfalea put together the most viral, beautiful pro-Bernie video of the 2020 campaign, and Bernie then threw him under the bus because some people bad faith attacked him as a racist. Matt Orfalea, the opposite. He put a video together showing how people's words can be twisted, and he put a funny video about how Martin Luther King's words could be twisted, and people pointed to that and said he was racist because he did that to Martin. No, he was making the bigger point. And of course, Bernie Sanders isn't going to fight for that. He isn't going to stand up for you, even if you're right, which is why Bernie Sanders is a coward. And that's why he's nowhere as well when it came to being president. The establishment didn't want him to be, and he rolled over for them. He didn't say, if you do this to me again, I'm going to make sure my voters don't support Joe Biden. He didn't do any of that. He's like, I'm whatever you guys want, whatever you need, I'll do it for you. I'm a fucking water boy. He carries water for the establishment. That's what he is. Bernie Sanders is what they call a sheepdog. He sheep herds progressive energy and voters into a pro-war, pro-corporate, anti-worker party. And he does it full well, consciously. He knows he's fucking doing it. And that's why Bernie Sanders is a coward and a piece of shit.
Do you think more people realize the fact that he had this opportunity in 2020?
That's
a situation that was, dare I say it, tailor-made by the guy. If you wanted to say, hey, here's a situation where we need Medicare for all. We're in a struggling economy. We have Trump in the White House. We have Biden who's demented. Bernie, you have the spear. Launch it. And he just dropped it.
It won't. No, it won't. It's not going to happen. If you're looking for a Democrat to fight for you, look the other way. That's a fool's errand. You're kidding yourself. You're the chump. Bernie Sanders made a chump out of all of us, just like Barack Obama did.
Now, speaking of carrying water, because again, you were right in calling out a lot of these Democrats and how they royally, knowingly screwed up everything. And they could have had the power to do the right thing, but they didn't. So when you have outlets like TYT, for example, now, trying to click, copy, and paste what you're saying, and doing the outrage now, I mean, is anyone even buying that BS anymore?
It hasn't helped their numbers on YouTube. I don't think anybody. They still have that video up where they said Julian Assange was working for Russia and the Trump, and that he can't be trusted.
Right.
That they said that. They said he was a partisan. Cenk Uygur called another journalist a partisan.
And then, of course,
and that's why you couldn't trust him. And then they said Aaron Mate was working for Assad and getting Russian money. And anybody they disagree. So now they're transparent clowns. I'm a professional clown. They're unintentional clowns, which is always funnier, but more embarrassing.
Well, then, let's just face it. You've been blessed with dumb enemies.
Thank God. I thank God for my enemies every night. The guys who come at me, Ryan Grimm, Young Turks, David Sirota, complete transparent hypocrites. I really have been blessed with really dumb enemies.
So I think everyone wants to know, like, when is that point? Like, will the canary in the coal mine be 2022 when the Democrats lose, or will it be 2024 when they start melting down about another potential Trump run?
The Democrats are going to coalesce around a corporatist, pro-war, anti-worker candidate because of Trump. That's going to happen.
So
if it isn't Trump, it'll be DeSantis. And it's that the Democrats have gotten so bad, they can only win if they convince you their opponent is a Nazi. That's the only way they can win. And that's why what they did in Illinois, they propped up the farthest right-wing guy they can. They propped them up with billions of dollars, right? They did that here in Illinois, but for the governor's race.
For 2018, which was...
they just did it now.
Oh, right.
They just did it now for the governor's race. They took the far right-wing guy and they propped him up. And they gave him $30 million fucking dollars. Why? Because they don't want you to realize they're just like the regular Republican, the Democrats and the regular Republican. So they have to find outlying crazies to prop up so they have something to run against, because people aren't going to vote for a Democrat anymore just based on them being a Democrat because they know they're a Republican.
And of course, because what I wanted to bring up from the 2018 election for governor is that was the most expensive governor's race in the state of Illinois, where we had one rich billionaire running the Democratic Party versus another billionaire who's in the Republican Party, our previous governor, Governor Bruce Rauner. So nothing has fundamentally changed, and especially in our state now, where Governor J.B. Pritzker potentially could win another re-election, we got a far right-wing opponent that supposedly should be easier for him to face off against.
Yes, and that's the only way they can get it done. It's just like the only way Joe Biden could win is if he's running against Trump, and if they convince everybody he's a KKK Nazi. And that's all they got. That's how bad the Democrats are now. That a guy like DeSantis, that people are thinking of voting for, because the Democrats have been so shitty, so opposite of what they're supposed to be. They don't help people with health care like they should have during COVID.
Right.
They don't. I mean, that's so people see DeSantis doing things that Democrats should be doing. And they're like, hey, well, at least this guy's doing that. And so that's the Democrats failing. Now, people want to blame me, just like they blame me for when Gillum lost. And then a couple months later, he got caught doing crack with a gay male prostitute in a hotel room, and the cops had to come. But apparently that was my fault. That was my fault that Gillum lost and DeSantis won. Do you remember that? People literally blame me for it.
Well,
people from the Ring of Fire network.
Well, Jimmy,
I'm not kidding.
Well, Jimmy, they're not only going to blame you, Susan Sarandon, they're going to blame
Susan Sarandon, Jill Stein, all the very powerful people.
Anyone who's on top, who's controlling everything. So I think as a final note then for this is there any words you want to say to people like Bernie or AOC who used to be on your show, other progressives who used to be on your show, and actually who said things that people agreed with, but since then when they got that ounce of power, they just...
Look at Ro Khanna. Look at fucking Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna, if you have any doubt that Ro Khanna is a company man and is going to go along with the establishment and Wall Street military-industrial complex, all you got to do is look at how he's handling Ukraine. It's all virtue signaling with Yemen and him. That's all virtue signal because he knows nothing's going to happen. But now with Ukraine, he can't even virtue signal. The establishment won't allow it. You can't virtue signal because that would give people like me and you who are actually telling the truth about Ukraine, that would give us fodder, right? But so he's not allowed. So he has to lie. And he has to call people like you and me Russians. That's what Ro Khanna did.
I'm a Chicagoan, not no Russian.
That's what he did. He called Max Blumenthal Russian. When Max Blumenthal asked him a direct question about, you were calling these people in Ukraine Nazis 3 years ago, and now you're funding them. You're Russian. That's what Ro Khanna did. So if you have Ro Khanna, AOC, Cori Bush, Pramila Jayapal, they wouldn't even endorse Nina Turner. Nina Turner, who now blocked me she blocked me on Twitter. Did you block AOC on Twitter? Did you block Pramila Jayapal? The people who endorsed your opponent. I didn't endorse your opponent.
Have you ever got?
That's how fucked up Nina Turner is.
Have you ever got a call back from her in regards?
Nina Turner?
Yeah.
Nina Turner's a fucking. Who do you think she is? She is still in bed with those people who just endorsed her corporatist fucking shill of an opponent. She still likes those people. She's still going to run cover. Why? Because that's where her career is. Her career is inside the Democratic Party, which is why Nina Turner also is not going to fight for you. She's going to defend those people. She's still defending Democratic politicians. And people saw through her, and now she's done. People see through Nina Turner like they saw through AOC, like they see through Jake Buger, like they see through the establishment shills. I wish Nina Turner was 1/10 of the person she presents herself to be. I wish she was. She is not.